What's up YouTube, and welcome back to Homebrew Subaru. In this episode I'm going to be doing a transmission and differential service on my Impreza. What's up everyone? So since I've owned this car, I have not done anything with the transmission oil. I haven't even checked it, and I haven't done anything with the differential. More than likely it has the original fluid from the factory in it. Not too many people get around to changing it unless they're regularly at the dealer getting service. So it's possibly been changed before, but I don't know. I've only owned the car for a year, and just to have a little bit more confidence, I've decided I'm just going to go ahead and drop the oil out, put some fresh stuff in. So I've picked up some 75 W90. That's what you want to put in these. You don't want to use 8090. 7590's a synthetic, first of all, and it works with brass components which are inside that tranny. All the differentials are pretty much done the same, so if you're just doing a differential service, basically all Subarus are done the same. This being a manual transmission, it's a little different from the automatic, obviously, a little bit easier to do, and you don't really need any special tools. Aside from one special tool, you will need a T60 socket to get the transmission drain plug out. Not a common socket to have, and I've actually got it in 3/8. This socket I bought a long time ago, so I've got it adapted up to 1/2 inch to crack that bolt loose. Having a suction gun or kind of pump will allow you to put some fluid in to refill your differential easily. The transmission, you need some like transmission funnel. This is what I have, so I may have to actually use the smaller one and then put the bigger one inside of it. I'm not quite sure yet, but yeah, that's basically what you need to do this. So I really just can't believe it's December. I've got my heater on low and I'm in a t-shirt. It's kind of nice. But anyway, I've got the car already up on jack stands. I've got some cardboard down on the floor. I'm going to slide underneath the front because that's the easiest way to access the drain plug for the transmission. And I'm going to get the camera set up on a light and we'll get to it. Okay, let's head underneath and have a look at this thing. Oil pan, a little lifting plate, and just in behind that is the drain plug for the transmission. So our T60 will go right up in there, and then we're just going to put the bar on it and crank it out of there. And because these are a Torx bit, you want to make sure you're all the way in there, got a really good bite of that, and then when you go to turn that, it's going to crack loose because it's such a big plug. Also, when doing this, you kind of want the rear lifted a little bit more to allow the fluid to come all the way to the front, and just let that stuff come out. It actually looks really clean. This probably was changed once before. There's a little bit of material on the plug, as you can see, so who knows, maybe it hasn't been changed. It is going to get on the exhaust, so you're going to have a little bit of smoke later. A little bit of brake clean will clean it up. So I'm just going to let that sit and drain for a while, and then we'll put the plug back in. And now that that's just a slow drip, we're ready to put the drain plug back in. The drain plug does have a copper washer on it. You want to make sure that the washer is on there, or get a new one to replace it. You should be able to just thread this up easily by hand. And tightening it, I can't tell you offhand what the torque is, but you want to have this guy pretty tight you almost feel it slip a little bit and tighten a little more, and that's where you want to leave it. It's the last thing you want coming loose. So I'm going to do a quick little cleanup here, and then we're going to head to the rear differential and start draining it. And here we are at the rear differential. So we have our drain plug, fill plug. Both will take a standard 1/2 inch just ratchet to go into the end here to break it loose. I like to put a piece of pipe on the end of it to give you that extra leverage. If you're a lot higher, you can get a small power bar or J bar on there. So basically we're just gonna crack this loose. They are gonna be tight. Wow. Okay, the fill plug is a lot tighter than suspected. Might try and get a longer bar. Oh, I can just get it in there. Wow, that is in there. Next up, impact gun. Wow. That guy was in there. Now I can see how dark the fluid came out and how much material is on the end here. I would say this diff has never been done. So let that drain for a while, clean this all up, and then we're going to need the suction gun to put the new fluid in after we put the plugs back in. Okay, now that this has come to a drip, ready to put the drain plug back in and start refilling it. Don't need to crank it as tight as it was, but it does need to be tight. That should be good. Now I've already put the 7590 into this pump, so just put the end of the hose in, right into the diff and slowly put this in. It's going to take almost 1 liter or a quart of the 7590, and it'll probably start to come out the end before I get it completely filled. I'm going to have to put a little bit more oil into this thing. There's just not quite enough to fill it. Just top this thing back up again, and then we'll get the rest of it in there. It's been really windy out lately. Shaking the garage door a little bit. Okay, this has got to be really close. There it is. Get the fill plug in quickly. Definitely want to try not to waste any of the 7590. It's not cheap stuff. And do the same with this fill plug, just get it to the point where it's pretty tight. Definitely not as tight as what it was. That should be good. I'll get some brake clean and a rag and clean this up, and then I'm actually going to take the car off the jack stands, get it all leveled up, and then we're going to fill the transmission next. So now we are ready to fill, and if we look down over on this side, it's kind of hard to see past everything. Right here is the dipstick, so you can pull that out. That's where we're going to fill from. Now, in order to get there, I'm going to make things a little bit easier and remove this part of the air cleaner, the air box. On turbo models, you would want to remove the intercooler, and it's still going to be a little bit of a reach down in there, so that's why you want a transmission funnel to get down in there. Or you can try and rig up some hose to drop down into the hole and slowly fill it that way. But what I'm going to do is remove this, make it a little easier on myself, and so you guys can get a better look. So getting this air box out of the way, which is absolutely filthy, is going to be pretty easy. It's just two 10mm bolts. Got to let one of these clamps go. And then we've got a little spring clamp over on this side for an emissions hose. Might be one over on this. Yeah, there is. There's one over here as well. Just easily pull those off. Be a little bit more to getting the intercooler off. Can be stubborn getting it off the turbo end. Get those 10mm bolts out, and then I'll just let the clamp go off of the throttle body here. I think I'll let this clamp go over here. Twist and just get the whole thing right out of the way. Now, I mean, it doesn't give us a whole lot more room to get in there, but you can see I can get the dipstick out quite easily now. And I'll go grab the funnel and we'll get ready to fill. Okay, I actually think this long straight funnel will probably go down in here. Just guided into the tube with my hand, and it does actually sit right in there. So I'll go grab the oil. Gonna need about 3.5 liters or quarts of 7590 to put in here. Might take a little bit more than that, but 3.5 is generally what they take. So I know how exciting it is watching oil being poured in, but I think we'll just advance the video to the point that I'm kind of finishing up. So now I'm going to pull the funnel and allow the fluid to settle for about 5-10 minutes, and then I'll clean up the dipstick and drop it in and check the level. If it needs a little bit more, I'll put a little bit more in, but it could be right on there, right on the line. So just let it settle for a little bit and double check. Okay, I would say that's been long enough. While you're waiting for that to settle, you can take the dipstick and clean it up. It is actually yellow in color. Usually gets so covered with dust and dirt and grime that it just looks like everything else down there, and you can't actually pick it out by eye. So just guiding the end of the stick down into the tube. You don't want to be knocking all kinds of dirt into the tube. Just drop it all the way in there. Wait for a second and pull it up. And I'm actually just a little bit over the fill line, which is no problem at all. And reinstall the dipstick, and basically I'm done. Just got to put the air cleaner back on, and I'm not going to put you through that. So we'll just finish up the video. So as you guys can see, it's really easy and straightforward to change the oil out of the transmission and rear differential. Just making sure that you have that torque 60 for the actual transmission to drain it, because you don't want to slip with anything else. You can't use like a Torx 55 and try and get away with it. And putting anything else in there, you know, it's a hard pull to get that loose. Anything else would slip, and then you've got a problem. You can't get the drain plug out. So make sure you have a Torx 60 in order to get the drain plug out. You're going to need about 5 quarts or 5 liters of 75/90 to do the entire car, transmission and rear diff. I only bought 4 because I had almost a full liter left over from when I did the Nissan. So it just gives me a little bit extra confidence and reliability. Anything can happen to a transmission or rear diff. Usually you start getting a little bit of bearing noise or hard shifting, and that kind of gives you an idea that you're going to have a failure. This thing drives really nice, and just having the fluids changed just gives me a little bit more peace of mind. And then while I had the rear of the car up, I actually just took the rear sway bar that I have off of my old car and made sure it kind of looks like it's going to go up in there. I did order bushings, and I have like kind of like white line end links to put on, and the actual brackets that the bushings bolt to. But looking at the right rear of the car where the evap canister is, it's got a little bit of rust and rot there, so I'm going to have to probably think about how I'm going to do that. I might even have to weld these brackets to the car, I'm not quite sure, but at least I got a good idea of what's ahead, because I think it's going to be a little bit of more work than what I was thinking. But anyways, if you like this video, definitely give it a thumbs up, and if you're new here and you haven't already, please consider hitting that subscribe button for me. Leave your questions and comments further down below, and I'll see you in the next one.